Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Graphics by Kaz, and today we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to use the pre-made overlays in some of my packs. Now the good thing to understand about this is that you have a background layer. If you imagine this like a sandwich, it's a good analogy. The background layer is your first slice of bread. You then put your filling inside, which is your game footage, cam, labels, everything you want, and then your overlay is your top slice of bread, making a nice little sandwich. That'll probably become more clear as we start working. So we're in OBS right now. We have one scene, that's the default scene that comes when you open OBS. And here you have the sources panel, and this sources panel is where we're going to be doing most of our work today. So to add a source, you click on this little plus button here, and it brings up this pop-up. So what we're going to do is we're going to add media source. So click on media source here, then go down to add source. It will ask for a name, so we're going to call it background because this is going to be our background layer. So we click add source to add it. You get this new pop-up, which is the properties panel for this particular media source. So we're going to immediately click loop because you need loop to be on for this to work correctly. And then we're going to click browse. And now I'm going to find the correct place where I have all of my new pink assets. I'm going to try and keep this tutorial pretty generic so it can be used with other packs, but we are using the pink pack in this scenario today. So first off, you have to choose which overlay you're going to want to work with, and today we're going to work with the first overlay. So we have an overlay 1 background, overlay 1 neon, and we have this for each type of overlay. So today I'm going to use overlay 1 and choose the background layer, click open. And now we have the background layer for overlay 1 on the screen. So we click done, and here we are. So you have the looping background animation and then the two squares which act as like a sort of blackout canvas for the chat box and the stream label to sit. This will probably become more obvious as we go further into the tutorial. So now I'm going to click on the plus button once again. And then I'm going to click on media source once again and add source. This screen is now asking me whether I want to reuse this source because it thinks that I'm stupid and I am adding something that I already have added once before. That's not what we want to do. So I'm going to click on add a new source instead. And I'm going to call this overlay. So this is going to be the top neon layer that we're working with today. So I click on add source, I click loop again, because that's very important. It won't work if you don't click loop. And then I'm going to add overlay 1 neon. So I'm going to click open and then done. And here we are. So now you see we have our background layer and then our overlay layer sitting on top of it. Now what we want to do is add all of our filling in. So that's our game camera, footage, stream labels and chat, etc. So the next thing we're going to add is our webcam. So we're going to go to the plus again, click on the plus, and then click on the video capture device, and then click on add source. It's going to ask you what you want to call it. I'm just going to leave it as default and click add source. And here's my webcam. Hello. So my webcam comes in as a square. I'm not sure why it does this. It's very strange. I think hopefully yours should come in at the correct aspect ratio. But if it doesn't, what I like to do is go into custom, and then it magically goes back to being a rectangle, and I don't know why that is the case, but you can play around with all of these options, and you can try different things out and see what works for you. But I know, apart from changing this to a rectangle, so it will be the correct aspect ratio now, I will leave everything as default, and then click done. So now we have our source, our webcam source here. What we want to do is go to the layers panel down here and then drag this layer below the overlay layer. So now you see this is behind our top layer of bread, if you will. So this is like the nice filling that goes inside a sandwich. So what you want to do now is get this video to fit inside the webcam box, which is the top right box up here. So we're going to drag this so that the corner, the little handle thing here, matches up with the top right corner of the neon effect. And then we're going to grab this handle and then just drag it into position and make sure like the lines are behind the neon effect. And then to make these guys go away, just click off. I don't know why that's there. And then there we go. It will be magically in the correct place. A few tips here. You can grab this and you can press shift and then you can change the aspect ratio. But I do not recommend doing this because you get this crazy effect. So if you just unhold, it will stick at that position as well. So you're going to want to ungrab it and then press undo. So Control Z and then get back to where you were before. Otherwise that's gonna be very crazy. But so that's not particularly helpful, but something I find that is very helpful is the crop. So if we say we're going to drag this particular handle here, you press Alt and then drag it, and then we're cropping the actual source itself. So you can, if you do have a slightly wider camera, you can crop off the edges. So that's useful for that. But most of the time, the only thing you will really need to do is just grab these handles and pull it back into position. If you feel like it's slightly out, and you can click on the arrow keys on your keyboard to shift it 1 pixel along or 1 pixel up or 1 pixel down, depending on what arrow you're clicking on. So, so I feel that this is nicely in the middle now. And I'm going to click off, and yeah, that looks good to me. So I'm going to come down to my layer panel, and I'm actually going to lock this in place using this padlock. You can see this little padlock icon is like it's unlocked at the moment. If I click it, it's locked. Also, if you want to change the visibility, so you want to see what's behind this, or you just want to get rid of the camera for whatever reason, you can click on the little eye, and now that is gone. To bring it back, click on the eye. And if you want to unlock it again so you can move it, click on the unlock. But I like to keep things locked, so I'll lock my background as well. And actually I'll lock my overlay, so everything's locked now. I can't drag anything. And I found that's really helpful because sometimes when you have lots of elements on the screen, things get very complicated and you can accidentally drag other layers that you've already sort of like put into place, and you don't want to do that because you're just undoing the work that you've already done. So now what we want to do is add a game capture. So you can do this in different ways. You can add a window capture, which just captures one particular window, or you can do a display capture, which is what I'm going to be doing now, and that captures the entirety of your monitor or your second monitor. The benefit of a window capture is that if you're, say, playing a game and you don't want to be able to, your viewers to be able to see your Alt tab out, if you do for whatever reason, it will only ever capture what's on the screen. However, if you're doing something that involves going out to, different windows, then you probably will want to use a display capture, because a display capture is going to capture your entire screen and all the overlays that come with it, all of your Steam overlays, all of your achievement pop-ups, everything like that is going to be captured. Some people don't want that, so that's totally up to you. So I'm going to click on display capture for me for today, and then click on add. Now we can call it what we want. I'm going to call it default because that's how I like it. And here we go. You can choose what screen you want. I've only got one screen at the moment, so it's only asking me to capture that one. You can also capture cursor. So now you can't see my cursor, but now you put it back on and you can. You can change all these different options, and there's going to be a bunch of these options that you can change, but I generally keep the default because I feel that A, that's the best way of doing it, and B, it just gets complicated to start messing around with things, and this is meant to be a simple tutorial. So today we're going to click on done. Again, you've got these handles, and this is the whole screen now, and that's because this layer has gone to the very top layer. We don't want that because we want our overlay to be the top layer. So we're going to, again, drag this layer below the overlay layer. So now we have our overlay, but again, you can't see our background because the display capture is taking up the entire screen. So what we want to do is grab these little corners and pull them down. Hello again, I'm back. And then drag that one up. So it's now we've got the verticals on the correct way. Now I'm just going to hold up, press up I'll hold it down until it gets to where I want it to be, and all those lines match up with the neon overlay. And then I click off, and there we go. It's perfect. And since it is perfect, we're going to lock it in place. We have it locked now. So this is how you set up a webcam and you set up your game capture. We're now going to go into how to set up your chat box, your stream alert, and your stream labels. But you might just want to stop here. So if you all you want is your camera and your game capture, then you are set. You're ready to go. But now we're going to look into how to add a chat box. So we're going to come up here to the plus button once again, and then click on chat box, and then click add source. I'm just going to call it default chat box. And now you have the chat box options. This is a preview of how your chat will be displayed. Again, I stick to everything as default because I think this is a very clear way of displaying your chat, but you might want to add different colors, different fonts, all these different options that you can add. We will be coming back to this panel because as you can see, this is going to be too big for our little box down here. So what we want to do is click on done, and then we have our chat box here, and we want to, again, now it's in position, drag it below the overlay. So now this is now again below the overlay, and this is to say the trickiest bit of the process. So I'm going to open up my chat stream, so you can see test messages coming through. So here we are. This is my channel. I don't really use it. It's just for testing purposes, really. So as you can see, you've got your home, about, schedule, videos, and chat. Click on the chat, and then your little chat window will display here, even though no one's streaming at the moment, but you can still send test messages. So I'm going to send testing, hello. Okay, now I've got some chat messages from myself to myself, and then we're going to go back in the Streamlabs OBS, and here we go. Here are our chat messages. See, the thing is here, you will need to edit the height and width of this manually. You can't just scale this like we have been doing in the other with the other sources. So you see, if I drag it, it makes it massive. So if I were to make it small to fit inside this box, it's tiny and no one's going to be able to read that. So I'm going to click undo, and we're back here. So what we want to do is sort of like eyeball how big this box is, and then how big we want to make this box. Another thing you shouldn't do is the cropping method that we talked about before, because if you start cropping, you're just going to lose the text. And if you crop from the other side, you might see the beginning of someone's message, but you might not see the end of somebody's message. So the best way of affecting a chat box is to actually do it in the properties panel. And to get that properties panel back, we're going to click on the chat box in the layers panel, just double click on it. What we want to actually change now is the width and the height. Right now it's 600 by 600, and you can just drag it to the side here to sort of get an eyeball on how big it's going to be. So let's try 300 instead of 600. So we're just typing in 3, and as you can see, that's adjusted it right there. So I think 300 is maybe a little bit too small, so we're going to put 350. So I think that might work. So can I drag it? Yes, you can drag it there so it fits nicely in there. So about 350 works. Now where has my pop-up gone? There it is. So now we've got the width in, but now we also need the height. So we're going to be typing, probably again, eyeball it 300. It's annoying that it then jumps up again. So you see it's a little bit shy of 300. So we're going to need it to be maybe about 400. It might be 450 actually. Yeah, so it's a little bit tall, and we do want it all to fit in that box perfectly. So we're going to keep doing this. So maybe 380. Does 380 work? 380. Yeah, perfect. So there we go. That sits in that box. It's now under the overlay because we dragged it underneath the overlay. I think that's good. So I'm going to lock it in place. And also I'm going to make this go away by clicking done. As you can see, our test chat messages have disappeared, and that will happen when you start editing the properties of that box. So again, just to test it out, I'm going to be just doing some random letters over here to see how that's going to look. go back into slobs, and there we go. So it fits lovely and looks very pretty inside that box. So that is how you add a chat box. The next thing we want to do is add a stream label. Now, stream labels are basically little bits of information about your channel, about your session, and they normally refer to, say, highest cheers, biggest donations, biggest tips, etc. So that's what this little box here is dedicated to. You can click on the plus button once again, and then scroll down on this right-hand section here, and then click on stream label. Then click source. I'm just going to call it stream label, but you might want to call it whatever you want your stream label to be. So highest donation, etc. This, a long name, is like a test donation. So it says all-time top donator. No one's donated to my channel. This is just me. Basically the label template will reflect whatever one of these you choose. So you can choose any of these, and there's so many different ones. Just a warning: if there is no data for that particular thing that you want to show, nothing will show. So if I click on weekly tips, it's going to show 0, or it might just show blank. Because I don't have any weekly tips, because no one's given me any weekly or monthly tips. Again, like same thing for top session sub gifter. It's going to be blank or nothing because no one has gifted a sub in this time, so it's just not going to be able to return that data. So to test it out, what I like to do is choose something that I know I have data for. So we will use all-time top donator, and you can change this later, but for me to be able to show you how the best way to do this is, I'm going to use this one. So you have name and amount, and you can add stuff in here. You can add whatever you want, and it will just appear in your label. Obviously, you probably wouldn't want to do that, but it just says a long name and then an amount. It doesn't actually say that this is the all-time top donator. So I might want to write all-time top donator, and then put a colon and then a space, and then these two, like name and amount, with the little curly brackets, will come through with the name data and with the amount data. But this label that I've written here is static, so that's just going to stay the same. What I like to do now is scroll right to the very end of the curly brackets here, and put a single space, and that is going to be relevant later. But please do that, because this might look a bit strange if you don't do that. So put one single space. You can change this in any way you want. You can change the words, you can change the font, you can change the color. But again, I'm going to keep mine as default, clicking on done. Now we have our all-time top donator, a long name, and then the amount. And what I'm going to do is just drag it inside this box. These kind of work in the same way as the chat, as in you don't want to resize this, because if you start resizing it, it starts getting really tiny and small, and then you might not actually be able to have a great experience for your viewers, because they might not be able to see your stream labels. But as you can see, it's now gone off the page. So we can use that trick that we discussed earlier. So I'm going to hold the middle right hand handle, and I'm going to hold down Alt, and I'm going to grab that handle and I'm going to shift it along, and that's just cropping it. So it's still there, it's just cropped off of the screen. And then you see it fits perfectly, but obviously that's only half the text, and you don't want that. You want to see the whole text. Maybe if you didn't have all-time top donator, it would all fit in and it would look fine. But then you might have someone with a really, really long username, and it might still go off the edge. So to combat this, what we're going to do is click on the stream label here. And first off, we have to drag it below the overlay layer, because that's going to make it look better, and it's going to have the pink shine coming through. Sorry, that was my fault. I forgot to reorder it. It happens. So now I'm going to right click on the stream label and then choose filter. We get another pop-up here. There's no filters applied, so this screen is not telling us anything. So what we're going to do now is click on the plus. now this pop-up is telling us all the different things that we can do with this image, and we can do lots of different things. We can sharpen, we can give a green screen effect. There's whole different things in here that you can attempt to do, but today we're going to click on scroll, and it's given the filter name of scroll. That's great, that's just what we want. We click on done. And now we're back to the same screen before, but now we have these little handles that we can do stuff with. So now I'm going to pull this across, and you can make it go very, very fast when it scrolls, you see. Or you can make it go in reverse if you want that to be a thing. You can play around with all these different options and see what works best for you. I'm going to choose quite a slow scroll, and then I'm also going to choose loop, because I think if you don't choose loop, it only does it one time. So you definitely want to put loop on there again. Then click on done. And now, as you can see, that is now scrolling across our screen, and it doesn't matter if someone donates with a really, really long name, it will all fit because it just lines up at the end. The reason why we put that space in there is because we want a space between the 32 and the all-time top donator. You can also do this by clicking back into the options, and at the start here, add a space. So basically either add a space at the end or a space at the beginning, and that demonstrated it very well. And now you see there's a space, because otherwise it butts the first word against the end word, and you need that space to like buffer it out. So we're going to click on done now, and here we go. This is the chat box and the stream label set up. The final thing we want to attempt to do is add alerts. So we're going to click on the plus once again, and then choose alert box, add source. Just going to call it alert box. And here is the alert box property panel, and you can edit things in here. However, there has been a bug recently, and I don't think it's fixed yet. So I'm going to show you the workaround of how to do this. But basically, if you try to upload custom graphics into this particular window, it doesn't work, and it just spins forever, and it maxes out your CPU, and I have no idea why it does this. And it's pretty annoying that Streamlabs haven't fixed this yet, but it's okay because there is a workaround, and we're going to go over that right now. So I'm not going to touch anything in here. This is fine. I'm going to click on done. And now my alert box is sitting above the whole stack, and this is the only thing that we want to be top. Before we wanted the overlay to be top, the first thing in the stack, in the layer stack. Now that we have the alert box, we want that to be the top thing, because when the alerts come through, we want the alerts to be the first thing that happens. If we put them below the neon layer, there's going to be like a neon bar going through the alert, and we don't want that. So I'm going to put the alert box right at the top, and it comes through as default on the top. And then I'm just going to lock it in place, because, you know, it's good to lock things down. And if Streamlabs have fixed this problem by the time that this video goes out, you can click into it and you can do everything that I'm going to do inside this dialog. However, because of this bug, I'm going to show you how to do it in the web browser. Right, so we are on streamlabs.com/dashboard. Just go to streamlabs.com and just log in basically, and you will be brought here. So what we now need to do is click on alerts box on the left hand side here, and it will take you to the alerts box properties. So we have all of the different options that we have inside the alerts box in Streamlabs OBS. This is just the web version of it. And the best way of me explaining this to you is to actually dive into one of our alerts. So today we're going to go for, let's say, donations. We have donations here. It shows where the text is going to sit in relation to the image. So I'm going to choose this one because I want the image and then the text below it. Everything else I'm going to keep exactly the same. The only thing I'm going to change is here, because I want to get rid of this image, the default image, and add my own. So I'm going to click remove image here, and then I'm going to click on this box here, sort of boxy icon, and then you get all of these different GIFs that you can add to your alerts. However, because we have our own from the custom pack, I'm going to click on upload. And then we have all of the ones I've uploaded in the past. Click on, you can either grab it in your file explorer and drag and drop it here, or you can just click on this box here and it will bring up a file explorer again. So I've navigated to my alerts, and because this is donate, I am going to click on donate, new donation, and then click open. And then this loads. It loads for a little while, depending on your upload speed, and then you will have new donation as a Webcam file here. You click on it once and you get this little tick to show this is the one that you're going to use, and then you click on select. This is pretty much ready to go now. You scroll down to the bottom and click on save settings, and then you get a little alert saying, yep, you've done it. If you want to test it, we can go here to the top and then click on test donation and go back into Streamlabs, and then we have new donation and then some test text underneath. So that shows how your alert is going to work. You can also test it down here. So you've got your little widget down here. You can do a follow, subscribe, donation, etc. So we're going to click on donation again. I don't like how this is intersecting up here, so I'm going to unlock it and I'm going to drag it into the middle of the screen. So now when this happens, the pink won't collide with the other pink. So I'm just going to test this out again. New donation, and there you go. So the way you'd add this to other alerts is you'd go into your other alert types, click on say subscriptions, do exactly the same thing we've done before. So you'd over image, click on the X and then click on the upload your new image, scroll down and then click on save settings, and then that will be your new alert. And you can play with all of these different settings and find what works for you. I've again kept it mainly as default as a so that's easy for everybody. But yeah, that's basically how you set up the entirety of this pre-made scene. You can do this for all of the different pre-made scenes in my pack. There's a few different ones which have a few different ways in which you're supposed to set up the graphics and set up the displays. But this is the most straightforward way of doing that. I'm going to be leading you through another tutorial in case you want a more customized setup. So say you wanted like free stream labels across the bottom here. In that tutorial, I will show you how to set up each one of these elements so that it is exactly how you want. However, there's obviously a lot more setup time in that process. So this is quite a easy, quick way of getting your stream started quickly. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks so much for joining me in this tutorial, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.